as he collapsed onto the bed with relief. His phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Hey bro, you okay? You've been missing in action for days. Call me." Jack sighed, guilt washing over him. He hadn't told Sarah about what happened at the house. How could he explain the impossible things he'd seen? The ghostly figures, the whispers in the dark, the feeling of malevolent presence that permeated every corner of their childhood home. They'd sold the house years ago, after their parents' death. But recently, Jack had received news that the current owners were selling. On a whim, driven by nostalgia and a desire to finally confront the past, he'd decided to buy it back. He'd told Sarah he was just going to check it out, maybe fix it up as an investment property. He never expected to encounter anything supernatural. He was about to reply to Sarah when another notification popped up. Sarah had tagged him in a social media post. Curious, he opened it. It was a selfie of Sarah smiling brightly. The caption read, "Missing my big bro. At Jack, where are you hiding? Family love." As Jack stared at the photo, a chill ran down his spine. In the background, barely visible in the mirror behind Sarah, was a shadowy figure. Its features were indistinct, save for a wide, unnatural grin. Jack's heart raced. It couldn't be. He blinked hard, but when he looked again, the figure was gone. Had he imagined it? Shaken, Jack decided to call Sarah. But before he could, his phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello," he answered cautiously. Jack came an elderly woman's voice. "My name is Margaret. We need to talk about what happened at the house." Jack's blood ran cold. "How do you?" "There's no time to explain," Margaret cut him off. "The entity you encountered, it's not finished. It's found a new target." "Sarah," Jack whispered, the realization hitting him like a punch to the gut. "Yes," Margaret confirmed. "The ghost is drawn to strong emotional connections. Your bond with your sister, the memories you both share of that house, it's like a beacon to the entity." "But why?" Jack asked, his mind reeling. "Why us?" There was a long pause before Margaret spoke again. "Because of what happened there, Jack. The night your parents died." Jack felt as if the floor had dropped out from under him. The car accident, the rainy night. He and Sarah had been at a sleepover, but their parents, they'd been driving home, to the house on Blackridge Road. "The ghost," Margaret continued, her voice heavy with sorrow, "it feeds on tragedy, on unresolved pain. Your parents' sudden death, the grief you and Sarah buried deep inside, it's been waiting all these years, growing stronger, waiting for one of you to return." "And I did," Jack said, the weight of guilt crushing him. "When I went to clear out the house for sale. You opened the door," Margaret confirmed. "And now it won't stop until it has both of you." As if on cue, Jack's phone buzzed with another notification. A new post from Sarah. "Look what I found in the attic, taking a trip down memory lane. Childhood home." The photo showed Sarah standing in the dusty attic of their old house on Blackridge Road. She was holding an old family photo, smiling at the camera. But behind her, in the shadowy corner of the attic, two glowing eyes stared directly at the camera. "I have to go," he told Margaret, already grabbing his keys. "I have to save her." "Jack, wait," Margaret called out. "You can't face this alone. You need." But Jack had already hung up, rushing out of the hotel room. As he sprinted to his car, his phone lit up with one last notification. A message from Sarah. "Come home, Jack. The whole family's waiting." Jack's hands shook as he started the car. He had unknowingly led this entity to Sarah, and now he had to make it right. Whatever it took, He would save his sister and put an end to the ghost that had haunted their family for far too long. As he sped into the night, towards the house, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was exactly what the entity wanted all along. Jack's car screeched to a halt in front of the old house on Blackridge Road. The once familiar structure now loomed ominously in the darkness, its windows like hollow eyes staring down at him. He could feel a palpable sense of malevolence emanating from within. As he approached the front door, his phone buzzed one last time. A live video was starting on Sarah's account. With trembling hands, he opened it. The video showed Sarah in the attic, her back to the camera. "Welcome home, Jack," she said, her voice distorted and overlaid with static. She turned, revealing eyes as black as midnight. "We've been waiting for you." The video cut off abruptly. Jack steeled himself and entered the house. Inside, the air was thick and cold. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord, always just at the edge of his vision. As he climbed the stairs, whispers echoed through the hall's fragments of memories, moments of joy and pain from their childhood. In the attic, he found Sarah standing motionless, staring at an old family photo. "Sarah," he called cautiously. As she turned, her face splitting into an unnaturally wide grin. "Oh, Jack," she said, but it wasn't her voice. "So nice of you to join us. The family's all here now." Suddenly, spectral figures materialized around them, pale, twisted versions of their parents, of past owners, of all those who had suffered in this house. "You brought us back, Jack," the entity speaking through Sarah hissed. "Your guilt, your pain, your desperate attempt to cling to the past, it gave us strength. And now you'll join us, forever." The ghosts closed in, their cold hands reaching for him. Jack felt despair washing over him, the weight of his guilt threatening to crush him. But then he remembered Margaret's words, "The ghost feeds on unresolved pain." And in that moment, Jack understood. He turned to Sarah, to the entity possessing her, and spoke from his heart. "I'm sorry," he said, tears streaming down his face. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, Sarah. I'm sorry I couldn't save our parents. I'm sorry I tried to bury the past instead of facing it." He took a step forward, even as the cold intensified around him. "But I'm not afraid anymore, and I'm not alone. Sarah, if you can hear me, remember we have each other. We always have." For a moment, nothing happened. Then Sarah's eyes flickered. "Jack," she whispered, her true voice breaking through. The attic erupted into chaos. The ghost shrieked, the very walls of the house shaking. Jack reached out and grabbed Sarah's hand. "Let go of the pain," he told her. "Let go of the guilt. We can't change the past, but we have each other now. That's what matters." Sarah's eyes cleared, tears spilling down her cheeks. The siblings hugged each other tightly as the maelstrom of supernatural energy swirled around them. Suddenly, a blinding light filled the attic. The spirits wailed, their forms seeming to disintegrate in the radiance. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, leaving behind nothing but an old, quiet house. "Is it over?" Sarah asked, her voice shaky. Jack nodded, relief washing over him. "I think so. We did it, Sarah. We're free." And hand in hand, they hurried down the stairs and out of the house, not wanting to linger a moment longer. As they reached Jack's car, they turned to look back at the old house on Blackridge Road. It stood silent, no longer emanating the sense of malevolence they had felt earlier. "We should leave," Jack said. "Get as far away from here as possible." Sarah nodded in agreement. As they drove away, the rising sun at their backs, they felt a weight lifting from their shoulders. They had faced their past, confronted their guilt, and emerged victorious. However, their sense of triumph was premature. As the house receded in the rearview mirror, a shadow passed across an upstairs window. Inside the attic, a cold wind stirred, and a whisper echoed in the empty room. "You can't escape us that easily." The entity had not been defeated, merely weakened and driven into temporary dormancy. It waited patiently, gathering its strength, knowing that the connection it had forged with Jack and Sarah would eventually draw them back. As Jack and Sarah drove towards what they believed was a new beginning, they were unaware that their ordeal was far from over. The entity bided its time, its influence subtly reaching out, planting seeds of unease in their minds. Their phones buzzed simultaneously. A new post appeared on both their accounts. "Home is where the heart is. We'll be waiting." Family reunion. The siblings, caught up in their relief, didn't notice the post. But the entity's patience was infinite. Sooner or later, Jack and Sarah would realize that escaping the horrors wouldn't be as simple as driving away. Over the next few weeks, Jack worked on getting the house ready for sale, and a month later, sold the house to a girl named Jenna.